Hi, this is Michael Uslan. You're watching Batman on film.
Hey, hey,
Hey now!
hey now.
Hey now!
Rick told me a joke before we started.
Not a
so,
joke I'm going to tell.
Yeah, don't tell it here.
No.
All right.
Well,
Hey
privately-
now. Welcome to episode number 41 of the Batman on Film vlog. I am.
Not very enthusiastic.
No, I'm fired up. Wait till we get rolling here. I am. I am the host of this here vlog, and I'm the founder of Batman on Film, editor-in-chief, Jett. Ramey. I'm also a professional Batman fan. Rick, did you know that? I'm a professional Batman fan. I had to remind someone of that yesterday. Anyway, Rick, how you doing? Rick Shew,
Good.
everybody. Rick Shew.
Do you get to own what that means to be a Batman fan? Because there's some pretentious people sometimes that feel like they own that title more than somebody else. Don't you agree with that?
Give me an example.
Well, I don't know, like purists that maybe know more about the movies than somebody that reads more comics than their friend or whatever.
I don't mean it that way at all.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, I know you don't.
I'm a professional Batman fan.
You're a professional Batman fan. Let's just leave it at that.
Yes.
Man, pretentious. That was a hard word to get out. I don't say it enough out loud.
I think that there are Batman fans that are strong Batman fans. I wouldn't say die hard, but Batman fans who do not read comic books.
Of course.
And probably came into Batman through the movies.
Of course.
And so, I mean, look, Batman is everywhere. He's comic books. He is
Animation.
He is, of course, film. He is video games. He
TV.
is toys. He's on TV, absolutely. And
Right.
I mean, it's he's not just a comic book character.
No.
He's also an American icon, but
That's right.
an iconic American fictional character.
There you go.
That. All right, so. And we're going to talk Batman. We're going to talk Batman because there's Batman stuff to talk about. Rick, let's just get right to the chase here. And probably most people know my opinion, but I'm still going to weigh in. The Batman, Matt Reeves the Batman. If it does not make $1 billion at least worldwide at the box office, is it a failure?
Okay, so you're going to open up the can of worms right out of the gate.
Right out of the gate.
Okay, here's the deal. We collectively as fans have to get away from expecting or having this barometer that a blockbuster film must do 1 billion or north in order to be successful. It's an impossible barometer. And there's times that we don't apply it. For instance, with Wonder Woman, no one denied that it was a success, even though she was, what, 900 or just shy of it, correct?
No.
But
it was in 800s, but I mean,
it was 800s. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have anything in front of me. I'm on the fly here. But you get the point stands. B versus S, though, and you and I are probably a little guilty of this. We said that it wasn't a success at the box office because it didn't do $1 billion. So where do you draw the line on that? What films are expected to and which films are not? And I feel like hopefully collectively we get away from that altogether, because I don't want a film to be dragged down by my negative chatter and cover because it didn't hit $1 billion and therefore doesn't get a sequel or what have you, right? So I guess it's all circumstantial, Bill. Does this next Batman film need to do $1 billion to answer your question to be successful? No. Does Star Wars Episode 9? Unfortunately, yes.
Okay, the difference.
The difference is, well,
because there are the last two. I'll frame it this way: the last two solo Batman films,
right?
Dark Knight Returns,
Dark Knight
Rises, made $1 billion plus.
Right.
Okay,
right.
And so, shouldn't it stand to reason that that's what the Batman should do?
Well, if you want to apply the Nolan trilogy to this scenario, then you have to really go back to Batman Begins, which did not even come close to hitting $1 billion. But it was a success because it had goodwill, it had good legs, critics loved it, Audiences loved it. They embraced it, and it was revving up for an inevitable sequel that thank goodness we got, right?
My part of my argument in my opinion piece I wrote, and I said no, it does not have to make $1 billion to be a success, was that to me this film is very much, The Batman is very much like Batman Begins.
I agree with that.
In that it's whether it's loosely tied to this DC on film universe or not, it's essentially a reboot. Okay, let's be honest here. It's what it is. Right. Okay, it's going to look different than what we've seen with what we saw with BVS and Justice League. It's going to be a different Batman. It's going to be different. The aesthetic will be different. The actors are going to be different. So yeah, come on. It may be more. It may be a little bit Batman Forever-ish, but whatever. Okay, but essentially, it's and if you just take, and I think Justice League is Batman and Robin.
I was just about to say that.
Okay.
Right. So Justice League is Batman and Robin, so therefore the Batman is Batman. And quite frankly, we're looking at about the same time difference, right? Between the films, 97 to 2005, 2012 to 2021. No, it's even a bigger jump.
No, it's...
I'm sorry. We're talking Justice League. That's
okay,
that's about the same.
Well, if you're talking about...
Be less, actually.
There was an 8-year gap between Batman and Robin and Batman Begins.
Right. I was going off Rises in my head for a second.
There will be a 4-year gap between Justice League and the Batman, but there will also be a...
You said that, but in my head, the last Batman movie, and I'm sorry, no disrespect to anybody, it's just how I think, is The Dark Knight Rises, really.
Yes.
That's the last...
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, but you're right. Justice League is basically Batman and Robin in terms of...
You're talking about a 9-year difference between solo Batman films. So, yeah,
yes,
it's close. But you still got Justice League and Batman v Superman, which was not a very popular take on Batman amongst the general audience and by a lot of fans, me included. And so you've got that as well to deal with. You're going to have to regain some goodwill with Batman on film. And I laid it out in the op-ed. I mean, there have been, 8, 9 Batman movies, if you count Justice League and Batman v Superman. There's been, there was 4, 3.
Suicide Squad?
I don't count that as a cameo, but I mean, he was in it regardless. But I mean, he was in it. He was a cameo.
He was in it twice, and Bruce was in a post-credit scene. I count it.
I don't count as a bat.
He was in it as much as Superman was in BVS. Hey,
that's true,
hey.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Well, anyway, so no, it doesn't. And I also think a lot. I mean, did and go back. Well, answer your question the question I gave you. So, what's the difference? Why does Star Wars have to make $1 billion plus, whereas if Batman doesn't, and we agree on that Batman does not have to. Matt Reeves Batman film.
Star Wars Episode 9 does. Now, Star Wars movies beyond that one, no. Star Wars Episode 9 does. The difference is that this Batman film is a reboot. It's starting over. It's more akin, depending on where you live, to Batman Begins. Star Wars Episode 9, I'm going to try to do this the 30-second version. Okay, so there was an online backlash to The Last Jedi. That's undeniable. It's an overrated backlash in the grand scheme of things, but there was an online backlash. There is a narrative that mainly exists online that there has been a protest with fans. The fan base was split after The Last Jedi, and the boycott that ensued, hence a flop in Solo, and there will be a flop in Episode 9 because they lost half their fan base. That's just not true, but by chance of this film fall short, being Episode 9 that comes out in December, there will be a narrative there that they can't escape, and that will be problematic for the franchise. So here's a good example. People talk about The Last Jedi actually underperformed, okay? Who says who? Maybe they wanted it to make a little bit more money, sure, but at the bottom line, it did $1.3 billion. The Force Awakens did roughly 2, or maybe a little north of that, actually. It's about a 35% difference, what it ultimately ended up being between those two films. That is actually in line with the other two trilogies. That's what Attack of the Clones did with A Phantom Menace. That's what Empire Strikes Back did with the original Star Wars. It was like a 30 to 35% drop, somewhere in there, all the sequels to the trilogies. Now, to make that consistent and to dispel this myth that there's this big boycott and half the fan base is gone, what Episode 9, as of this date, we don't know the name, but what Episode 9 has to do is perform in the same way that Return of the Jedi and Revenge of the Sith did, which were the third films in their respective trilogies that were actually up from the second film. So you had the first film was the most successful, the third film was the second most successful, and the second film was the third most successful. Does that make sense?
Yes.
They have to maintain that.
I don't believe for a second that Solo was a flop because of a Star Wars fan boycott. I just don't.
Absolutely not. Now, were there fans that did not go see Solo because they were pissed off about The Last Jedi? Sure. How many? I mean, it would have to be, Bill, like... Let's think about this. That film, I don't have numbers in front of me, but it fell 600, 700 million short of what it probably should have done, right? To hit $1 billion, a solo film, right?
Well, I would say a Solo movie shouldn't have been considered $1 billion. I mean, it shouldn't have been $1 billion a bust either.
Well, the problem is that Rogue One sort of set that, and it's a beloved character played by a different actor that just nobody cared to see.
Did Rogue One do $1 billion?
Yes, it did.
Okay.
1.1.
Okay.
Last Jedi did 1.3, Force Awakens did 2 something. So that's my point. That's why it sucks, but that's the trap that Star Wars is in right now. Whatever you want to call it, the new film. J.J. Abrams.
Yeah, and it's perception, right?
It's perception. It's perception, but it's a narrative thing that unfortunately the studios will take into account. That's just the way it rolls. So Star Wars Episode 9 needs to do 1.5, 1.6 billion, and then after that, they can start from scratch and we can get away from that bullshit. Sorry.
Okay.
BS.
And I'm with you completely. The Batman does not need to do $1 billion to be a success. Sorry.
An Avenger in Endgame
sun shining around my face, but whatever.
An Endgame doesn't need to do $2 billion to be a success either.
No,
let's just get away from that.
Here's what it needs to do. I went back and I looked at Batman Begins, and today's box office, and I actually not today, but 2018. Okay, I did try to keep it. I didn't.
And anyway, I'm listening to you. I'm chewing gum and walking at the same time. Go.
Okay, so it's Batman Begins in today's money, today's tickets, today's box office would have made about 500-ish. Over 500 billion worldwide. Okay.
Okay.
Also, now the Batman needs to do more than that. I'll say that. The Batman needs to do more than that.
Okay.
All right. But it's similar. Now you throw in another great comparison and analogy is Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Okay.
Okay. You have relatively the same number of Spider-Man films or / appearances in other films, if you count Civil War, especially, and of course, the
Ramey trilogy, the 2 Andrew Garfield films,
yeah.
Right? Okay.
And it's been rebooted 3 times, different actor,
right?
Less actors, but I mean, if you count, there's been the Schumacher Burton continuity. 3 actors, but same Batman technically. You had the Nolan trilogy, and then you have the Ben Affleck Justice League / BVS version. So there's 3 there, and we're going on to the 4th with Batman. But anyway, to me it's apples and apples, right? With you comparing that way.
Okay.
Okay. Was Spider-Man: Homecoming considered a success?
Yes.
Okay. It did not make $1 billion.
It did not.
It made
it's all about expectations, right?
And yes, okay, there we go. That's
right.
Okay.
And here's the deal: like Aquaman, for instance, it crossed $1 billion. It crossed $1 billion with I don't want to say only because it still did very well domestically, but
it did really, really good domestically.
Yes,
it wasn't a freaking it didn't steamroll through and kick ass at the domestic box office. Let's
it did
be
not.
Fair, okay?
Yeah, right. But it's still $1 billion film. Period.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Period. End of story.
Money's money. Okay.
Money's money, and it's a global thing now. I mean, like it just is. So what does that mean? Does Aquaman 2 now have to do $1 billion to be considered successful? I mean,
I'd say
that's
no.
BS. I'd say no.
Yeah, I'd say no to that.
700. I don't know. 800. I don't know the exact number. And by the way, I want to just wrap this one thing up about Star Wars real quick.
All right.
Because I did a little Rick math. All right. For people that think that Solo flopped because of the Last Jedi online backlash, it would have had to mean if you just take $15 as the average ticket for a movie ticket, which is actually probably less. I think Box Office Mojo, when you plug it in, it's more like $10. $10, right?
Average,
I'm gonna just go up and say 15.
Okay.
40 million people had to have boycotted that film because of The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
40 million. Okay? Because 40 times 15, 600 million. Yeah, exactly. The 600 million shy of $1 billion.
Yeah.
Think about 40. You guys think that 40 million people sat home because they were pissed off about Luke drinking blue milk and Leia floating in space? You have delusions of grandeur.
Yes.
Please stop.
I mean, it's
all right.
Look, yes, I'm with you 100% on that.
All right, moving on.
Yeah, and it just, here's the bottom line, and I said it. The Batman does not need to make $1 billion. If it makes $1 billion, hell yeah, okay, that's fantastic.
Right.
I think the key is it needs to be reviewed well, and it needs to be received well by the general audience.
Yes.
Let me repeat that. The general audience, Rick.
But it does need to be received well by online fandom because, unfortunately, their voices are so loud in a minority, but they matter. They can hijack an entire narrative.
Yes.
They did it with The Last Jedi. Not to say there's not legitimate people that don't like that movie. I know there are. I know them personally. But I'm just saying that it became like no one cared that it had an A cinema score. No one cared that it did almost $1.4 billion. No one cared that it was at 91% on Rotten Tomatoes by critics. The Last Jedi, awful hashtag, owned it. And that sucks.
Okay, but
that's the world we live in now, Bill. That's
but I also don't think the general audience, and look, I'll put me, when it comes to Star Wars, I'm probably the general audience. I'm not following the Star Wars stuff. I probably hear a little bit more because of, because I have a business. Batman on Film is in the genre business. You know what I mean? So
and we have a satellite Star.
Okay, yes. So I know a little bit more. But look, I had to ask you. You can attest to this. I have had to ask you about the dynamic. Why is The Last Jedi considered a flop? Because to me, it's not. And I don't think Joe Blow walking the street who doesn't read Batman on Film or hasn't listened to one of our satellite shows. I feel like Texas Stadium back in the day, with the hole over the roof, remember the sun?
You are so white to me right now. You're like,
oh yes,
albino.
So I'm wearing silver glasses.
That's all right.
Which doesn't help. So
there we go.
Okay,
it's kind of cool.
All right. Yeah, I'm bright and shiny, dude.
You're a Star Wars Force ghost.
I'll take it. Okay, but I don't.
That narrative,
that narrative that The Last Jedi is a flop was not in my head.
It's not a flop. It's anyone that says that's ignorant.
You know what I mean. You know what I'm saying.
And I feel like I'm ranting a lot about Star Wars, so I'll move on.
But
I'm all fired up, damn! I'm fired up.
But it's comparable. Okay.
It is.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, that's a film. Let me just say this: the last movie. Can we just say? I think maybe the last two films that need to do $1 billion. Right, is Star Wars Episode 9 and probably maybe the Avatar sequel, just because it was like the biggest movie of all time.
Yeah. Okay, so for me, the Batman, review well, have some general goodwill. We're going to get to something in a second that it's going to tie into that, and the general audience dig it. Do about 800-ish. Okay, that's what I'm thinking.
The film may not even be, by design, a blockbuster film. I mean,
and you throw that in, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
Not to say Nolan was going that way, but things just really worked out for him in his films. Yeah. And of course, Heath Ledger's Joker is really the thing that just catapulted that franchise. Yeah. But this could be just a very grounded detective story,
Yeah.
character driven,
Yeah.
less action.
Yeah.
Who knows how much Batman we'll see versus Bruce Wayne? I don't know. It may not be a film that's popcorn that's meant to do $1 billion, man.
Okay.
Aquaman's designed to do $1 billion. That's
Well,
what that movie is.
It's a popcorn movie.
Yeah.
It's designed to be a popcorn movie. I can
Popcorn movie.
I would
that
imagine.
Actually, I think I like it.
Yeah, I would say that even the fine folks and Warner Brothers did not expect Aquaman to make $1 billion.
Probably not.
It struck a chord with an overseas market, and because it shows in the box office. But hey, look, it made $1 billion. It was a success. Batman doesn't need to. I hope it does, just because the more successful this is means more Batman films are coming, and I just want it to be reviewed well. I want to get rid of that negativity surrounding.
I would rather there be a positive cloud over the Batman, and it do 750, 800, than it do 1.2 billion, but it was a contentious film.
Yeah, I can't argue against that. All right, continue on.
All right.
We're going to get a new Batman, Rick. And
is it too late for me to throw my name in the ring?
Yes, because for one
too
thing,
old.
I'm pretty sure it's going to be, we're both too old. It's going to be someone in their 30s, okay?
Damn it.
Batman is going to be 30-ish. I strongly believe that. Hint. And we can also count on this, Rick. Whoever is cast, there will be a fan meltdown over that casting, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And like I wrote in an article,
just like there was with Ben Affleck.
Absolutely there was.
Right.
Don't people forget about that now, who are saying he's the greatest Batman ever, and it sucks that he's hell.
Hey, listen. There's nothing wrong with somebody saying, "Hey, listen, I was against his thing. I mocked it. The movie came out. I loved him. He's my favorite." That's cool, but it is still funny.
But have we not some irony in that? Correct.
There is.
Yeah.
But it goes back to, we talked about this before. You and I lived it. Obviously I'm younger than you are, but I remember it very well. Was the meltdown that Mr. Mom was going to be Batman,
and I can't even imagine how that would go over today if there had been internet and stuff back then.
God.
Oh, because it was
Mr. Mom, not my Batman hashtags.
It was big enough as it was without the internet and all that. But my point.
Boycott Bat Beetle.
I'm one who may say, okay, I really can't see that casting decision, but I'm willing to give it a chance when I see it in context and costume and everything.
Listen,
you
go to the Heath Ledger casting. That was another one. People had a meltdown.
That was a big time.
And his performance doesn't transcend through time just because he died, unfortunately, before the movie came out. It was that good. It was a transformational.
And it was, it's, it was. I'm one raised an eyebrow because I remember I think.
Dude, I didn't want Will Smith in Suicide Squad. I was over the dude. He had kind of worn me out with his he got a little cheesy and I was done. And then it came out and he was freaking awesome in Suicide Squad. Awesome. And so I was like, awesome. I think he was awesome in that film. Yeah, for sure.
He was
all the stuff with his daughter. Oh man, that last scene with his daughter in the apartment.
Yeah,
that was good.
He was good.
Really good.
Okay,
so my point is that, again, I shook my head going, why do I do this to myself? Why do I just trust? Think about John Travolta getting cast in Pulp Fiction. Okay, people were like, that, the guy from Look Who's Talking is going to be in the Reservoir Dogs follow-up.
Rick, I don't think that's a good analogy because...
Sure, because I lived it. I'm saying that people were pissed off about that casting because Tarantino had established himself with Reservoir Dogs.
There's not nearly as many people who would even remotely have a meltdown
I'm not talking about I understand, Bill. I get. I'm not saying it has as many people because it's not the same magnitude of a film. It's still, my point stands that you have to just trust directors casting. Let their performance stand on its own and judge it from there. Does it matter?
That part I'll take.
And that's what, and that's why the John Travolta thing is an example of that. No, it doesn't have the magnitude of something as Batman, but it's still people were not happy about the casting.
What was the name of his character in that movie?
Jules. No, Vincent.
Okay, there was no Vincent on Film website that was following the making of Pulp Fiction, and when he was cast, had an episode.
So that's our barometer for people being upset. It has to be a film that does $1 billion and iconic characters. It's just about people freaking out about casting, is my point.
Well,
just don't freak out about casting. Don't freak out when Anne Hathaway was cast as Catwoman. People.
We're talking. Now the analogy is correct. Yes.
My point is, it doesn't matter if it's a small film like Pulp Fiction or a blockbuster film. People will freak out about casting sometimes, and they need to just chill. Okay, it's not just with superhero films, Bill. It's just in general, but it's more so because of the magnitude of these films and the fan base. Trust casting.
Square right in my face. You can't see my look of like whatever. So
trust casting. Let performances stand on their own. Period.
Okay, yeah, you got me thrown off with this John Travolta.
You're overthinking my point to that. Just let's move.
Because there was none. It doesn't even hold up as an analogy. Okay, anyway.
Okay, I lived it.
You couldn't wait to see who was being cast as Vincent in Pulp Fiction.
No, Bill, it's not about anticipation for the particular character.
It is. That's what it's all about.
It's about just the casting in general. Like trust people's casting
people
in
everywhere
general.
Giving their suggestions who should be Batman, some of which are ridiculous, which I'll get to in a second.
Yeah, well, let's get to that. Let's get to that. Let's get to. We have a list.
Yes. Okay.
Let's see the list.
The point I was going to bring up before I get to this list of the betting odds is that we're already getting some of this with names who have floated out that may or may not be legitimate, and we're getting that guy sucks, that guy's not Batman, and that's what even prompted the op-ed I wrote is, didn't we learn anything from the Michael Keaton? 30 years after that, have we learned anything? For example, Rick, if Robert Pattinson was cast as Batman, what would be your reaction?
Trying to think who that is. Robert. I don't know who that. I know the name, but I can't place. I'm terrible with names. Who is he?
He was the lead actor in Twilight.
Oh, that's probably why I don't know who he is. My reaction would be I don't know anything about his work.
Okay.
And
I have not seen 1 second of any Twilight movie.
No, I haven't either.
However, I would not dismiss his casting. If he was cast, he's not my top choice, although there's a little bit of part of me, that part of me that's kind of, that way, but wants him to get cast just to see the meltdown. But I did, since his name came up, I did do some investigating, and he's done a lot of good work since Twilight. There's a film called Good Time, which I watched, he's really good and got a lot of recognition from various critics. They're like the Dallas Critics Association. All this, and he's 31. He's in his 30s. He's 6'1", and then of course you hear, well, he's skinny as hell. Well, Rick, there's this thing.
I can't take it. I can't take it.
There's this thing called.
Can't take it.
What's that place you go, Rick? And they have these machines and these big heavy objects, and if you push them, Rick, all of a sudden you get these things that move your arms.
Yes.
Muscles will grow.
Yes.
What's that place called, Rick?
It's called a Jimmy.
It's called a gym. Gym. That's what it is. And then there are these people that the studios hire to make these people do these things that make their muscles grow. What are those people called, Rick?
They're called trainers.
They're called trainers. And then there's this person that tells you how to eat.
Right.
To make that even facilitate that even more.
Mm-hmm.
Those people, what are those people called, Rick?
Nutritionist.
Nutritionist or dietitian, yeah.
A dietitian.
Well, I mean,
look, two
I mean,
two things on this.
I don't know, Rick. I mean,
first of all, this is how out of touch I am with a lot of pop culture things that I just don't have my head wrapped around. I'm seeing fan casting online, and I'm looking at pictures going, seen that guy around, or maybe I've heard that name, like the aforementioned name. I don't know who that is. It's these shows, Twilights, and I don't watch any of that stuff. I have no idea. So 90% of the people I've seen with the fan casting, I don't even know who the hell they are. My guy was Jake Gyllenhaal. Look, he's out. I'm just like, I trust.
He's not fan casting, my friend, because there is
I'm not saying him. I'm just in general.
Yeah.
I saw one guy had John Travolta. Kidding.
Okay. All right. So what I'm saying.
Vincent Vega.
Don't. Let's not prejudge casting, even if we don't like it, and I fall into that as well. Okay.
Don't prejudge casting on anything. That was my larger point. Thank you. Moving on.
Okay. Here is the list. Right here.
All right. I'm not going to know any of these people, am I?
Well, yeah, you'll know them.
Okay.
Some of them. These are the list. This is the betting odds.
All right.
And you can actually place bets on this.
Okay.
Next
I like betting.
At the top of the list, it's 7-2. Best Armie Hammer.
Okay.
Who's getting a lot of run.
Yeah.
Who was actually cast as Batman 10 years ago or so in Justice League Mortal.
I don't know his work beyond Social Network, but I know he was fantastic in that.
Okay. He is a big dude. He's got leading man looks.
He's 6'5", right?
Close to it. If not, yeah.
And see, my reaction to that is I would prefer Bruce Wayne on film with not quite that stature. That's 2 inches taller than me, and I'm a pretty big dude. But I have to. But I can say that, and I can have the same card played on me. Well, Rick, there's these things called camera tricks, and there's things called boxes, and there's all these things that they can manipulate that a little bit. Because I don't know. There's something about a 6'5" Bruce Wayne walking around that's not very inconspicuous to me. But who cares?
That's therein lies the I can give you the answer to that. It's because his public act is so ridiculous that no one in the world would fathom that Bruce Wayne, this asshole douchebag, rich guy, playboy, could be Batman. That's part of it. That's no different than Superman wearing glasses or Clark Kent wearing glasses, and he takes them off, and no one can figure it out. Come on. All right. I don't want a Batman who's 5'6". I'm sorry. I know it could be petty and superficial. I don't want a short dude playing Batman. And Keaton wasn't 5'6", but of course he was. There's an argument against it, but he's no 5'6" dude.
Well,
okay?
my larger point to this, by the way, is that's my instinct. But I also remind myself, they can work around anything like that and make it work visually. Yeah. If the actor's right, cast them. I don't care if they're 5'7" or 6'5".
You'll like this one.
When I break it down and think about it.
Coming in second with 11-2 odds, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
I would be on board with that.
That's my Batman.
Ain't gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen.
As soon as he took, first of all, he apparently took meetings with Matt Reeves and didn't take the job.
Right. Or wasn't offered the job. One or the other.
Yeah, maybe so. And now he's with Marvel he's Mysterio in the new Spider-Man film. So I get that. At 13-2, and I would say if you were going to overtly continue the Batfleck continuity, John Hamm. John Hamm, who's into his 40s. You know who John Hamm is?
Oh, yeah, John Hamm. Yes, I do. He was in Baby Driver. He was
That's how you know him?
Yeah, he was and he had a show on HBO too, right?
That was on FX, I think. Or AMC.
Yeah.
One of those.
I know who he is. I know John Hamm.
Yeah.
Madman. Yes, that's him.
Would be a good choice if you're going for that.
He's older though.
Older, yeah. He's in his 40s.
He's a really good actor. Good looking guy. I could see that, but
yeah,
not from going for a guy in their 30s.
Okay, here's one. Do we even want to go down this rabbit hole, Rick? At 8-1, Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan, yeah. Look, this gets into a political thing, and I could do this on my political podcast. I'll just say this. As opposed to trying to fundamentally change the appearance of a character, why not just go write more awesome black comic book characters? Do it a real justice, as opposed to trying to just force different races and establish characters. I think, quite frankly, it's not that I would give a shit that there's a black Batman. I just think that it's pandering and it's insulting, I think, to blacks. Like, write awesome black characters. That's all. That's kind of where my head's at with that. I mean, that's a touchy topic, but that's just how I feel about it. And my thing again is like, don't take existing characters and make them black or give them a female spinoff. Just write brand new, fresh, exciting new characters that are African American or Chinese or Filipino or gay. Who cares? I don't know. That's just how I feel about it.
Yeah.
And by the way, I love Michael B. Jordan. Dude, I'm going to go buy Creed 2's Blu-ray today. The guy's awesome. I like everything that I've seen him in, but do I want him to be Batman? Honestly, I don't. No, I don't.
Okay, I'm with you.
Or
I don't want him as Superman either. I heard that
too. Just, if there was some, well, it doesn't matter. Like
I told you this could be a rabbit hole.
Yeah,
Look, I think we tend to be overly PC, and I can sit here and I'll say it. I'll be honest. I would not want an African American actor to play Batman, just because I want him to look like the Batman in the comic. Superficial, petty, whatever you want to call it. But I also, the same note, if they cast Denzel Washington as Jim Gordon, I wouldn't care.
I didn't care. Lawrence Fishburne was
exactly.
Mr. White.
Okay.
Yeah,
so,
right.
We're
talking about because they're more flexible and they're just interchangeable. It doesn't matter, right?
Yeah. But on the other hand, I would want Lucius Fox to be a black dude. I mean, that's just.
Yeah. Well, change. Listen, just that's exactly right. Let's not change. Like what they, there's the
because he was one of the first great African American characters in the Batman world in the comic book. I mean, come on. Lucius as he is. Okay.
Miles Morales, right? Spider-Man.
Yes.
Okay, that works because he's not replacing Peter Parker.
He's not Peter Parker.
He's a new Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And it's freaking awesome. Yeah. Right? I've never read a comic with him, but the Into the Spider-Verse is
I think he was
fantastic.
Part of their Ultimate line, Marvel's Ultimate line. Okay.
Right. Going some route like that, yes. Okay, here's the deal. Well, I don't want I'm going to revise my statement. I don't want a different ethnicity that doesn't look like Bruce Wayne in the comics to be Bruce Wayne. If you're going to do a different Batman in some capacity, it's a different Bruce Wayne. It's a different, not, you know what I'm saying? Go that route's fine, but let's just, Bruce Wayne's Bruce Wayne. Peter Parker's Peter Parker. Right.
Yeah, okay. Just some other ones. This one, I would be, they have, okay, 8-1 is also Ben Barnes. I'm not familiar with Ben Barnes. Do you?
No idea.
Okay.
I have no idea who that is.
This one, 9-1, John Krasinski from The Office. Jim on The Office. And now that's people, Jim from The Office, but he also is pretty badass as Jack Ryan on these, he's doing that. He's that series on Amazon Prime. Jack Ryan.
Okay, I would
have no problem with that.
Good comedic timing.
Some of the others, look, 50-1, Keanu Reeves.
No.
33-1, Leonardo DiCaprio.
No. I'd rather see Michael B. Jordan, and I like
now. Look,
both.
This may be good money here at 18-1, Ryan Gosling.
I don't know his work, other than like the film where it's a flashback film and it's
The Notebook.
The Notebook. Thank you.
That's the only one you know him from.
That I can think of off the top of my head. Okay. No, because I know him in the sequel to it's I can't get thank you. I couldn't get Gladiator out of my head. Yeah, Blade Runner. Yeah, he's good.
Sequel to Gladiator, Ron Gosling.
Yeah, I knew it wasn't that. That's why I couldn't get it out of my head. He's a good actor. I like him.
Good actor.
Played well off Harrison Ford. Yeah.
I would have no. I think I was.
Do you know that? Do you know that George Lucas talked to go back to Star Wars here? Leonardo DiCaprio was someone he approached to play Anakin Skywalker in Star Wars Episode 2, and he turned it down. Kind of interesting.
I would.
Kind of interesting to think about.
A good decision by him, actually. I can't see him doing that.
No, and his career has been just fine without Star Wars.
Let's see some other.
And he works, and unfortunately, Hayden Christensen really doesn't. So
33-1, Idris Elba. I like him a lot.
Now, I would take him as Bond.
I would take him as. I was about to say that. Thank you.
And maybe that
freaking thunder.
Yes. Sorry.
I would take him as Bond.
And I know that there's a difference. I mean, I know there's a little hypocritical to say that, but it's just like I don't love Bond the way I love Batman, and I just want Batman to just look like Batman. Period.
And I would take him as Jon Stewart as well.
Yes.
When they do him in a DC film. You know who Jon Stewart is, right?
Yeah, well, listen, that guy is a really good actor, dude.
Yeah.
Who's going to be the next Bond, you think? Do you think Henry Cavill is even in the run?
I hope he is, just for this. Because I like Cavill, and I was like, you know what? Screw you. I'm going to go do Bond. You know?
And a Nolan-directed Bond at that.
Oh, my gosh. That'd be awesome.
Okay. All right.
So I would say, look, I like Idris Elba a lot. Make him Jon Stewart.
He's awesome.
In the DC universe. Some other ones. Tom Hardy at 50-1.
No.
He may be the next Bond. He would be a good Bond too. He's a short dude. Stood right next to him.
Are you into Green Lantern? Do you read comics? I never was.
I grew up reading them. With Hal Jordan, the old 70s as a kid. In the 90s, when Hal Jordan became a villain, Rick, Parallax, and then that's when Kyle Rayner became the Green Lantern, and I was like collecting comics big time, and I was like almost getting every title there was, so I was reading that back then. But I would love a great Green Lantern movie because it's very much, there's a lot of Star Wars, fantasy space cops type stuff you can do with that would be good. They just didn't do it very well with the movie they had. But
I read very little and I hated the movie, so I just never. Yeah. He's never caught on to me.
Let's see. I'll finish up.
And I was just curious.
Okay, 100-1. Cillian Murphy, who actually did screen test for Batman Begins.
Wait, you're talking about the Scarecrow?
Yeah. Yes. Ain't gonna happen. He's a little dude too.
Yeah.
Here's your boy at 100-1. Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, no. I want him to do an Obi-Wan solo film. I don't want him to do that.
He's too old, and he's Black Mask now.
Yeah.
100-1. Henry.
And hopefully he's still
Henry Cavill. 100-1.
Obi-Wan.
Ain't gonna happen.
No.
And the last one at 100-1, Wolverine himself, Hugh Jackman.
Too old.
All right.
Too established as an iconic character. Also.
Do you have someone?
Too established. Brandon Routh played Superman in a major motion picture, but he's not established as Superman. He's flexible.
Do you have someone that you would? Do you have a fan cast of your own?
Well, yeah, it's Jake Gyllenhaal.
Jake Gyllenhaal. Okay. Jake Gyllenhaal. I would take him. Yes.
That's my.
Take him off the table. Anyone else? Any of those names there?
No,
that as an actor that you would like.
Arlie Hammer is somebody that.
Who?
Hammer.
Arlie Hammer.
Army Hammer is somebody. Army Hammer. What did I say? Army Hammer. Army Hammer is someone that I'm sold on that guy if he's cast.
Okay.
Just because of his performance in Social Network.
I like Army Hammer. I'm not banging the drum. I like him. I would not be upset even if that Pattinson dude was cast, like some people are. So we'll see soon enough, Rick. I think we'll see.
Is there anybody that's not on that list that you think is potentially could be, or you would like to see as Batman yourself?
I'm not very good with fan casting, just out of the blue. If I hear a name, and I look, then I'll go, okay, I kind of like that guy. I like Jake Gyllenhaal. But I don't like we said. That's not going to happen. I like Army Hammer a lot. I don't mind the Robert Pattinson idea at all,
Mm-hmm.
just because of his acting chops. And I mean, he's a leading man looking dude. So, but now looking at it right, John Krasinski is someone I'd be interested in. I like him a lot.
I just have this
Did
white
you watch The Office?
thing staring at me with a mouth moving right
Yeah.
now. I have caught Office episodes with my wife on Netflix, and I'm not real familiar with the show, but every episode I've watched, and that's probably, I don't know, 8, 9, 10, I've laughed. I mean, it's
brilliant.
yeah. I mean, it's obviously very good.
It's better than Cheers.
My wife loves it. Yeah, it's a different world. I don't compare it to Cheers.
The Office.
You don't compare it to Leave It to Beaver either, or Mary Tyler Moore Show, or.
Well, you could compare.
I have been
Cheers to
watching
Mary Tyler
a
Moore.
lot of old school. Well, they're all old school, but I've been watching some Cheers on Netflix recently,
All right, let's get out of here. We've been
and some
too long.
and some Frasier.
This should be a podcast instead. And it's a video of me and my white face from the sun. At least the sun's out. I'm Texas
Right.
Stadium. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Texas Stadium had a hole in the roof, and we'd watch the games. There would be huge.
Yeah, like literally
sections,
nobody watching this knows what that is.
Huge sections of
You might have
of
3
sun
people.
that would beat down on the playing field, and it was that's what it reminded me of when I saw it. So anyway, I'm sorry that my face is Texas Stadium today. All right, Rick, plug anything? Got anything to plug?
Follow me on Twitter at ShewRick. Me and there you are, back amongst the living.
Yes.
Me, Paul Herman, and
Very
Ryan
handsome.
Haas are going to be doing a Back to the Future satellite podcast here pretty soon. So keep your eye out for that.
Okay, sounds good. What else? Oh, our Shazam watch. Rick, that thing's about a month away, almost virtually. About a month and a half. About a month and a half.
That's right.
So if you please come down to Austin, Texas, Saturday the 6th, correct, Rick? 6th of April? Yes.
I don't know. You're as bad with dates as I am names,
The
Bill.
movie
Hold on.
opens the 5th, and the thing is on the 6th. It's at the Alamo Draft House, South Lamar,
Hold on.
and we're going to watch a
Yes.
4
You're at-
p.m.-ish screening of Shazam, and you'll find all the details at Batman on Film proper.
And my daughter has a soccer game on that same day, which probably means my wife won't be joining me in Austin.
Thought she was coming.
Well, I thought she was, but I bet you now that's on, because these games just came over on our calendar yesterday. I wonder how that's going to play out for her. We'll see.
All right, that's it. So, Batman on Film, Rick. We're talking a lot of Batman. Is it nice to be talking about Batman on Film actually again on Batman on Film and not? I mean, I'm talking Batman on Film. A solo Batman movie is happening, Rick. It's happening.
Which was the genesis of your hate.
Right now they are in Hollywood. They are working on this film actively, and we'll be getting news here before long, relatively speaking, about the new Batman, which we talked about, and what the Batmobile looks like, and the Batcave, and who's Alfred, and who's Gordon,
Yep.
who's all that. This is awesome. All right, Batman on Film.
It's gonna be fun, dude.
Batman on Film. Batman on Film. Authoritative. Definitive.
And the Dadgum original.
All right. Thanks for watching. I'm sorry I was super shiny today, but that's.
No one had to look at your face, dude. It's perfect. We need to do. I bet you in the comments below it's going to be a lot of.
I'm a bright and shiny.
Let's do that.
I'm a bright and shiny people, Rick.
Let's keep doing it.
Bright
Force
and
Ghost.
shiny people.
Force Ghost. Coach Ramey.
Bright. You know what? You know who edits these things, don't you? The editor is mightier than the sword. Okay. We'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.
Take care.